Hi, everyone, and happy South Carolina Arts Advocacy Week. My name is Jeff Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of the South Carolina Arts Alliance. This week is our annual opportunity to amplify your voice at the State House, learn more about the amazing creative industry in South Carolina, and find out how you can support the arts all year long. So historically, during Arts Advocacy Week, we have carved out one day during the week to focus entirely on arts education. So that's today. So I'm thrilled to be joined for our Advocacy Week discussion today by some panelists representing different parts of the state, different school levels, different roles within the school, and bringing a lot of really good perspectives about what an arts-rich learning environment can do for a school's culture, climate, and other shared school goals. So with me today, I've got Kim Wilson, who's the director of the Arts and Basic Curriculum Institute, Mary Leslie Anderson, who's a principal at League Academy, Angela Jackson, who's a fifth grade teacher at Woodland Heights Elementary School, and Kevin Morrisey, who is a visual arts teacher at Fort Dorchester High School. So to kick us off, I'm going to ask Kim to give our audience a quick refresher on arts and basic curriculum schools, which all of our panelists today are from, and just give us a little bit of background for those that may be unfamiliar.
Thank you, Jeff. This is an exciting day. I'm so glad we're having this panel discussion, particularly around the climate and the culture of an ABC school. So ABC Institute is over 37 years old, and from the very beginning, it has been focused on those different aspects of providing our students access to arts education. That certainly is the development of the standards, the professional learning that arts educators need to meet those standards, and then collaborating and using and leveraging the arts for an integrative kind of learning mindset. So from the very beginning, it involved the plan of increasing access for all of our students across the state. Is teachers believe and can talk and learn from other teachers. So we needed schools to help be those models and say, dive in. We're going to take these courageous steps where we believe in the power of arts. We understand it, value it as part of just student development and part of learning. And so from that beginning, of a very modest set of schools, we've grown into over 67 schools currently across the state. Again, those different from, we've got an early learning center all the way through high school. Each school is unique. They have to have an arts education strategic plan. Yes, that all gets tucked into a school improvement plan, but specifically, what role will arts education play? How will we collaborate with non-arts teachers? How do we contribute to moving student achievement? And so within each of those schools, they're unique, but they do have a strategic mindset when they are talking about that commitment to arts education. And particularly, one thing that makes ABC schools so unique is that they also understand that the entire culture and climate of a school can be arts rich. So it's not just that we have state standards based arts education instruction, a teacher is certified and I'm teaching the standards, but it's also looking for those community partners and giving students exposure to professional artists, making commitments to field trips where you go see a live performance and you feel the lights come on and you hear the music, and having those experiences, bringing artists into the schools. And then also some of our schools practice what we call arts integration. And I just mentioned that just a moment earlier, is that really integrative approach to learning. Is that, when we go to the grocery store, we don't stop and say, okay, now I'm going to read all the labels. I have ELA hour. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to start reading the nutritional facts, and that because it's my math content. And now I'll look at the packaging because it's really pretty and it's interesting. No, we really want to look at that integrated learning as all of it's happening simultaneously. And how do we learn, and how can we demonstrate what we know and what we're able to do in many different ways. So that is what we've called the sort of these three components as an arts rich environment. We really understand how arts are so just woven into a daily experience, from the visual images that we're taking in, the sounds that we hear, how we speak to one another, the gestures that we make, all of these things that some may call arts and other than, we really in ABC schools see that as all inclusive, right? It's just all happening at once. And how do we really work, collaborate together? And so that's what the magic of ABC schools are all about. So I'm so excited about all these three people here because they'll speak from their own unique perspective.
Thanks, Kim. So yeah, everybody on this call could talk all day about the impact that the arts have on the students in the building, but we definitely wanted to take some time today to focus on another important piece of the puzzle, which is everyone else in the building. So I'm going to start with Angela. And Angela, you teach fifth grade at Woodland Heights Elementary School. So tell us what it's like working in an ABC school as a non-arts teacher.
So I am not artistically gifted at all, but I love being in a school that is all about the arts. I have every opportunity to bring in the arts inside of my classroom, whether it's through science and social studies instruction, whether it's to extend a story or a reading passage that we're talking about and give a child an opportunity to bring that to life. Through the arts or through visual arts, through music, through some type of skit or play, through some type of dance routine. All of those things or even if it's something with math, we've been able to include some visual arts through some math instruction. Just having that opportunity in this school that everyone, including my administrators as well as our art teacher and all the rest of the media people, the kids even get a chance to get get in front of a green screen and do some other visual arts that way through multimedia. So it's been an amazing time being in an ABC school. A little bit about me, just to show I'm a second career teacher. I've been in the corporate world for most of my adult life, and I've always wanted to teach. And I landed in this school, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for me to embrace the arts where I never would have had I never been in this position. Professionally, I get an opportunity, and I have had the opportunity to attend our Palmetto State Arts PSAE, that conference every year. I go eager with my brain open, ready to embrace whatever they are going to show, whatever class is available. And every time I bring something back, and immediately integrate it into my classroom and put it somewhere inside of, even if I hadn't planned it, I create an opportunity from some things that I've seen at the arts conference. I know that I'm not the only one that should only go, but I've been able to go every year, and it's been amazing. And that's personal and professional creative opportunities that I can share at this moment.
Yeah, thanks so much, Angela. Love that conference. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the PSAE board. So have been
Okay.
involved in the conference for several years. Yeah. And for anyone that doesn't know, teachers out there, is a great, or administrators, great opportunity to come dip your toes in the arts integration waters, and just kind of meet a fantastic collaborative network of people that are doing this work. So check that out. That'll be coming up in the fall
Yes.
this
Yeah.
year. Yes.
Can I ask Angela a quick question?
Sure.
I think it's really interesting, Angela. I did not know that about your story, that this is your second career. You sort
Yes.
of moved from a corporate background. And very interesting in terms of, did you do an alternative certification
No,
or the
I
traditional?
I didn't have I didn't finish my degree.
Yeah.
So I went back as an adult and finished my 4-year degree, and
Fantastic.
then got my master's. And so I came on it and in my mid 40s and finished it up.
Fantastic. Well, I'm wondering if you can give like one small example of, maybe we would understand traditional instruction would look like this and how you embrace arts integration, and maybe how like one of your colleagues that you with, and how that collaboration and how that looks different in the
Sure.
instruction.
So, meaning like someone who hadn't embraced arts yet?
Yeah, so I'm thinking in my mind, like a traditional math instruction looks like this, maybe
Got it.
worksheets, da, 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 right? But then I collaborate with this person,
Yes.
then math instruction looks like this when we talk
So
about.
we're coming up on fractions, and we've done this last year as well. Traditionally, as you would say, you're in class, and fractions are what I would say one of the least favorite of the math subjects for fifth graders, because they get to learn how to do it without common denominators, so they've got to figure all of that out. But it would be just rigor inside of the classroom, doing all of the math standards, trying to understand the multiplication and the division piece of it, like you just said, with just worksheets and just working problems. However, our arts teacher here, Miss Amelia Holt, uh, figured out a way that we could integrate our fraction lesson where kids could turn it into some type of mosaic where they've got to blend those fractions in, because the fifth grade standard is showing a model to represent that common denominator once they've found it. So once they still had to work the math problem, but now they know that, okay, we're going to do some coloring, and there's some bits of fun that's going to come with this. So you do still have to do your math part, but now you get to take that and create a colorful mosaic with it that still shows your answer, but in a colorful way, and that's put together with different arrays and lines and things that she artistically showed them how to do. And so we're looking forward to doing that again. But had I not known about that piece, especially for fractions, it's always a painful way just in the class, in a boring classroom, boring teacher, hint, hint, with just doing some math and just knowing all the basic numbers piece of it. So that art integration piece takes it to the next level and makes it fun and more enjoyable.
Yeah, so the benefit there is that you are able to engage students as a teacher more easily, right?
Yes,
Which makes the whole learning environment better, but also because the students get the two modes
yes,
of experiencing that, they're more likely to retain that information.
absolutely,
That's the
absolutely.
win-win. I love it. I love it. Um, I'm going to turn to Kevin here, because Kevin, you are in an arts classroom. So obviously, as an arts teacher, that teaching in the arts classroom, that's a huge part of the arts-rich learning environment. But I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what your role is as an arts educator in fostering that arts-rich learning environment throughout the entire school.
Yeah, sure. So I teach visual arts at Fort Dorchester High School. I'm also our fine arts department chair, and so part of our school leadership team, which is kind of a natural place to be to help foster it out. As a department chair and then part of the leadership team, I feel like it's part of my responsibility to shine a light on other people and empower other people to fulfill the projects and opportunities that they would like to do for themselves and for their classrooms and for their students. And so have had the fortunate opportunities to work for administrators who have empowered me to do that, and likewise try to pay that forward to our staff and the people in our departments. So through the ABC project, a big portion is when we get together as our fine arts faculty and then our ABC steering committee, is we kind of dream big. What kind of projects do we want to do for our classrooms and for our school? I'm kind of a big believer in that success begets more success. And so we try to recognize the small wins and build those small wins into medium wins and those medium wins into big wins. And so kind of have a culture of the success happening within our school right now, starting from celebrating the smallest things to celebrating the biggest things. Give a shout out to our theater arts teacher, Corinne Tayo, who's very active in celebrating and championing her students in her theater program. And it's really for her and the theater program, I think all arts, while we want to create beautiful meaningful, impactful thing through the arts, it's really about the holistic personal development of the student of the community as well. And so again, kind of go back to what Miss Tile does is for their theater program, they had a major parade throughout the school celebrating the theater and promoting the musical coming up. And I think that really fosters a community of success, or at least valuing the arts within the school, not just for this beautiful creative thing that we're doing, but because we're celebrating the participation, the ownership, and the culture and the engagement of our students within the school for it. And so I feel like it's my job as like ABC, or Arts and Basic Curriculum grant manager, and then a fine arts department chair, to really kind of empower others through creating these opportunities and really kind of stay out of their way, like give them the encouragement and support that they need, and then get out of the way and let them do their magic.
Yeah, and that's exactly I think the spirit of collaboration that Kim was speaking to in the beginning there, right? Is that it's not oversight, right? Sometimes it's side by side working together. Sometimes it's just empowerment. There's a lot of different approaches to that. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective. I want to turn to Mary Leslie now, because you're a principal. So for that administrator perspective, tell us a little bit about how you help ensure a school-wide commitment to that arts-rich learning environment.
So all of that starts with vision and hiring. I would say that when we became an ABC school in 2016, that was 2 years after I became principal here, there was discussion. We were already a magnet school, and we had a great focus on the fine arts, and we had but not arts integration. And that's kind of where we needed to go. And so ABC was pivotal in making and helping to make that happen. And so setting forth that vision for the staff that was already at League, putting that out in the universe so that folks who were like, yeah, I don't really know about this, could, make some decisions for themselves. And then those who were like, yeah, we're about to expand our art and arts integration piece, and some people did and some people didn't. And so then for the next year and going forward, the hiring process had to be very specific, a very specific type of person. And I'm not going to say somebody has to have arts integration experience to get past our interview, but that's a heavily, I would say, addressed topic in the interview. So it's about whether or not you have an appreciation for the arts and whether or not you see the connection to increase test scores and student engagement. And the arts and arts integration is about being willing to jump into arts enhancement and arts focus with the motivation to learn more about what actual arts integration is. And so our interview process really focuses on not necessarily what the candidate already knows about the arts, but what they're willing to know about the arts, because throughout our entire school renewal plan is that development of the arts year after year after year, and the development of arts integration, and not art for art's sake, but really tapping into the community that we have, tapping into the teachers that we have and the artists, the students that we have, and making sure that that specific person is ready for it. And willing to learn and implement.
Yeah, that's great. I'm curious, as you know, as the leader of the school, is there anything that comes to mind, like any experience that comes to mind in terms of somebody that maybe was hesitant at first, right? And then once things started to move forward, kind of had an aha moment, whether it was early on or maybe they came into it a little hesitant later on.
Slow is fast. right? So, the more like I've heard it, Angela and Kevin say, support is the key here, and movement alongside and collaborating with instead of um, mandating, if you will. So my team of assistant administrators and coaches, we integrate the arts into everything we do as a model. So the teachers never leave a faculty meeting, a professional development, anything that did not either was enhanced with the arts or was arts integration. So that's a constant model, if you will, and an easy way for teachers to get their feet wet with arts enhancement. Um, Second, that just that little bit of encouragement. I have an English teacher, and I was an English teacher, and I just think that how could you not integrate the arts into teaching English? But that's just me. Um, I do have an English teacher who was pretty hesitant for a while, just wanted to kind of stay on her pace and do her thing. And I did not like sit down and have a conversation with her about how she's going to get on the arts integration bandwagon. We just kept on, offering these opportunities. And then our music teacher reached out to this English teacher, or maybe even vice versa, and said, I think it was the English teacher reached out to the chorus teacher and said, we are doing an Edgar Allan Poe poem, and I think it was The Raven. And they worked together to create this week-long lesson on all of the elements of literature in The Raven paired with the beats of music. And they stayed after school. They worked, after hours to get this done. But now my English teacher does it on her own. So maybe that took 3 years to get there, but she said to me this year, I'm not scared to do this without the music teacher anymore. And she books the auditorium, and they're using their boom whackers and their different household instruments and that sort of thing. So really the support and the I would say the infusion of it all the time in the building, whether it's music or dance or a video or having the teachers write, reflect, any of that, we use those strategies as a model all the time.
Yeah, that's great. And I just want to acknowledge that much of what Mary Leslie just shared is just good leadership, regardless of the arts. But the arts are such a good fit because collaboration is such a huge part of that. And also a huge part of that is the positive working environment that arts rich learning creates. So I'm going to kind of open this up to everyone because on a broader state wide lens, we know that teacher recruitment and retention is something that leaders are continuing to try to tackle. But we also know that the legislature has increased teacher pay, and I'm sure that you're all very thrilled with that. But we know that teacher pay is not the number one reason that teachers leave the classroom, right? It is a reason, and it's certainly important, right? And we're glad that the state has made strides in that. But what teachers consistently say matter more are the working environment, right? The respect for the profession, all of those pieces. So I'd love to just kind of open it up to the group. Tell us a little bit about how what we've discussed today kind of lends itself to a positive working environment that promotes teacher recruitment and or teacher retention in your schools.
I'll
Sure.
go ahead and start if that's okay. I think for someone coming in as Ms. Anderson Lee would say, I didn't get an interview. It wasn't focused that way. I'm not saying it would have veered me off had I had an interview that was heavy, that told me I was going to be in a position that would integrate the arts in many different ways. But for someone to be able to express themselves, to be able to have all of these different avenues to engage a child, to get outside of the box, outside of the straight line desk and the group work, and to be able to have kids express themselves, showing the standard for whatever it is that they're learning, but still be able to express themselves through any type of art, whether it's through dance, through music, through orchestra or chorus, or singing about whatever they're learning about, not just making pictures. A big thing is extending a writing piece. You're gonna read a story. We're all reading. You're all gonna have to write about what you read. But how about turning all of that into some kind of piece of art, whatever the medium is for the arts? That piece would help a potential teacher who might be putting a lot on themselves to get through all of the standards, uh, take a step back and say, how else could I uh, express this standard and allow my kids to take just one little breather, to have some fun and still be, while still learning? I think those things, if they are at the forefront, would help to retain some people. That's just my opinion. But I'm passionate about it. And I'd be willing to say, hey, if you could do this and you didn't have to be in just a standard rigorous type of a classroom setting, that you could get outside of the box, would that allow you to have some relief and to have some stress lessened if you could teach this way? I think people would potentially be willing to stay and try it.
So instead of throwing your hands up and quitting, right, you try a different approach, but you're in an environment that encourages you to try a different approach, right, and doesn't penalize you for thinking outside of the box, and trying different ways. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
really insightful. I love that. Kevin, did you have something you want to share?
Sure. Well, I was going to share, building off of what I was mentioning earlier, trying to create a culture of inclusiveness or welcoming, for all students and educators. One of the things I would highlight that we've done well at our school is kind of a public art mural campaign that's really brightened up our spaces. And I feel like on the surface, right, it's just murals, but if you can make your place more attractive through the arts, it becomes more welcoming. And there's, as a visual artist and as a community artist, I've got all kinds of data to share about the impact, cultural impact that murals and public art can make on a space, lowering crime, increasing positive quality of life in it. And the same thing would apply to the arts, the school space as well. That if we take pride in our physical spaces, then that would take pride in our emotional spaces within that building as well. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle on there. But I also kind of piggyback on what Angela was saying, and also Miss Anderson Lee was saying too, in that the teacher retention rate, I feel like the arts empowers students, but empowers educators as well to tap back into the joy and wonder of learning. I mean, learning is really pretty fun. Us as an education do a good job of beating the fun out of it. But learning's pretty fun. Discovering something brand new is pretty fun. And I think about the pinnacles of human achievement. The arts are right there. Like that's kind of it. Like it's architecture. I mean, we got technological and engineering innovations, medical innovations, scientific and transportation innovations of travel out of space and underwater. But the arts are right there as far as the pinnacles of human achievement. I mean, what are we learning in our ELA classes? These great works of literature. If we're working in our science classes and our engineering classes, like what are we working towards? Building bridges that need to work, right? But we also want it to be beautiful and meaningful and represent the cultural values of that space. And so, as far as education goes and teacher retention, if we can empower teachers again to find that source of joy and wonder and love for their content area as well as a love for their students, well, that's just a winning combination. And who wouldn't want to be in that kind of environment where teachers love their content area and they love their students?
Kevin, that was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Y'all see why I invited him to the conversation now. But Kevin, you really bring in such that beautiful point and reminder that learning can be fun, right? Like it's discovery. And before returning to South Carolina, it is my home state, but I left for a few years and worked with schools to introduce arts integration and approach that work. Mary Leslie, you said something so beautiful about that it's not for every teacher either, right? You had to give permission and for that teacher to discover which art form was she comfortable with in moving forward, because you could have been presenting theater and she's saying check out. Now I think ELA and theater, their standards are, they're teaching the exact same thing in just a different way. But teachers need that permission, especially in our current definition of accountability, that they really feel so many pressures. That pressure is a top-down feeling, and that allowing teachers to find those spaces of my students are struggling with it, I'm bored with the content. Well, what can we do inside of our space to re-engage with the content, re-engage to the true heart of what am I teaching, right? And how students will grasp it. Angela, I love, and the murals, Kevin, what you're mentioning there. I can't remember who mentioned it previously, but when we talk about student achievement, our students are just saying, what's the score? What's the grade? And in those spaces where student work is in the halls and they're passing by and they hear each other, and it gives them so many more opportunities to celebrate each other and see achievement in a completely different way. I'm gonna be quiet, Jeff. It's not about me. Keep going with the questions. I just thought this is a beautiful conversation.
I think just to capitalize on what Kevin and Angela have said is that I feel like one of my jobs as a leader in arts administration and arts education, arts integration, I feel like one of my jobs is to bring to the forefront of society that rigor does not equal boring, that that the creative mind, and two books come to my mind. I think it's Art on the Brain and The Rise of the Creative Class. Like the way all of these things that are what Kevin says the pinnacle of human achievement is brilliant. It is rigor. It is high achieving. And until like, I don't know, bureaucrats and folks outside of education and in education can realize that art is not drawing on art is not telling a kid to draw on a piece of paper whatever they want. It's inspiring. It's asking students to take that wonder and that joy and create something that speaks to what they know and what they can create. Also, that connection between Bloom's taxonomy with create being at the top of that. All of a sudden we think because we're doing accountability and state testing that the teacher needs to stand in front of the room and drill math problems into a kid until they've got it, when that's not changing anything. So I could talk about this for a really long time and get really excited about it, but that has really been one of my personal goals as a leader in education, is to convince people that if you walk into what you would call an academic classroom and see the arts, that it's not a piece of fluff, that we're not coloring, that we're taking a standard that the students need to learn and we're creating with it. We're not just acquiring knowledge, but we're applying knowledge. And so I think that if we keep talking and keep shouting that from the rooftops and keep proving that art is rigor and increases student achievement, we will get there.
Amen. And
Sorry.
I love it, and I have tried to say this as often as possible this week and every week, that, you know, there's not a single person in the state, leader or otherwise, that doesn't want innovation, right? I think sometimes the misconception is if we want innovation, like we've got to teach the math and science, right? Because that's what 21st century innovation is. And absolutely that is a piece of it, but with only the math and science by itself, without creativity, you'll never get innovation. And every great creator, every great innovator throughout history, right, had an artistic practice, right? It was engaged somehow with creativity. It's essential. So whether that's sending students out into the world to be innovators, to be the next great inventor, right, or to just innovate with whatever field of work they're in, or whether that's giving teachers opportunities to be creative in the professional environment, so then they can find innovative approaches to teaching, which then has a resounding impact on the students. So it all is hand in hand, and I will shout that from the rooftops forever, because I truly believe, as I'm sure you all do as well. I want Kim to help us put a kind of a ribbon on our conversation today. So Kim, can you just tell us a little bit about some resources that ABC Institute has for schools or for teachers or administrators that might want to plug into this, right? Might want to dip their toes in this water.
Yes, Jeff, thank you so much. One, I just want to thank our three panelists who have joined us today, and really here, if we talk about that teacher retention, Jeff, right? And when they're sitting around talking about SHOP, are they this excited about what they're doing and get this revved up and enthusiastic and, oh, you and me, right? That level of enthusiasm and excitement for the profession, it's all woven together. I will say that we're oftentimes challenged to show me the data, right? Show that over time, ABC has even looked at these schools and said, what's different about these schools, right? What's the positive piece? Even after 10 years, the school ecology, when there was arts rich, they called it arts immersed at that time. But when we saw this collaboration amongst teachers and administrators who really valued what the arts educators were bringing to this holistic conversation, that they were so much stronger. Parent involvement. We haven't even talked about how arts with the families in this whole mix, right? When our students and our families are engaged, the educators feel excited. So there's so many ripple effects here. Back in 2019, Jeff, I would love to post in the comment section. We can even talk about our student engagement poll with Gallup. Yep. Our second year in, we did it with employee engagement. And in 2019, typically a work environment, about 15% of employees are engaged. 85% were either disengaged or actively disengaged with their work. When we did that same study in ABC schools, we had 60% engaged. That's phenomenal. We're engaged, right? So if you're thinking about taking this step, I'm going to give the one resource that I think has a little bit for everybody. You may not be in an ABC school. You may be a teacher who's going to watch this and say, I don't even know what arts integration is. I want to learn more. You may be an art educator who doesn't get the opportunity to go to some of these conferences. Maybe an administrator wants to hear more about some of these topics. It's named appropriately, OneStopWorkshop.com. It's a free virtual professional learning platform. We're bringing all of these different topics into one space so that educators, administrators can hear and learn from each other's perspectives in the work. So I would just say that is what we are trying to offer in terms of, you may not be fortunate to be in an ABC school, but we are still part of a greater community of education for our students here in South Carolina. So that's my one big pitch.
Thanks, Kim. Free and on demand, in case that didn't get across. Free and on
Thank you.
demand PD, which is a hot commodity, I hear. Free and on demand PD. All right. Well, thank you to the four of you for sharing your expertise and your passion today. This has added so much to what we're doing this week. To all of you tuning in, thank you for watching. Be sure that you follow along on social media. We're going to continue to share advocacy content all week long. So please share it. Help us get the message out. You can also visit our website to become a free member, and you'll get content directly to your inbox every day this week. And then finally, if you visit our Advocacy Week webpage, you can check out all the tools that we've put together to help you take action this week. We've also got a social media toolkit. It's got pre-written captions and graphics that you can utilize if you want to do that, and help us raise our collective voice for the arts this week. See everybody soon.